A warm welcome back to the Information Security Stack together with me, Daniel Gustafsson, and Kim Hindert. We are getting closer to summer vacation, finally. This year has been very rapid, and this spring just disappeared. And even though the weather in Sweden hasn't been awesome, they still claim that it is summer, so here we go. And with that being said, me and Kim will take a break here. So this is the last episode before the summer break, and then, of course, we will be back during the fall with some new positive energy and feeling good after a couple of weeks off. And speaking about positive things, that's where we're going to end on a high note for this season of the Information Security Stack. Because if you open up a newspaper or read social media or read any news outlet or listen to any news outlet today, there really isn't that much positive going on in the world. Apparently, everything is dreadful. We're all dying. The climate is shit, and everything is just useless. And yes, there are a lot of things in our society that is going on currently, which isn't super positive. I agree on that. But we thought that we would go against the stream a little bit and actually start to lift a couple of positive things going on in our society that is worth mentioning. Because we can't just be Eeyore in Winnie the Pooh and wake up every morning and then just say, well, that's it for that day, and then go back to bed again. Because that's not really healthy for us. So, Kim, a couple of positive things going on in our society. Where do we start?
Yeah, I would like to start with something that's pretty current, so to speak, today, and that's artificial intelligence. Because the thing with artificial intelligence, it was a bit a Google engineer recently came out and said that their support bot has become self-aware. And yeah, I mean, of course, it can answer a lot of interesting questions in an interesting way right now. So if you have time, please read the blog with the chatbot and the Google engineer. That's a very, very interesting part. But I dare say, we are far away from Skynet, so there's no Terminators coming yet. Yeah,
Just
rest
yet.
assured. So we're not there yet. But yeah. That said, artificial intelligence has become a really recurrent thing with the unmanned drones in Ukraine.
Yep.
Speaking of, horrific news all the time.
Yes.
Yeah. But there's a lot of unmanned drones flying around in Ukraine right now under big heavy testing. And then you get the direct thing here. Should an artificial intelligence have the right to determine who lives or who dies? Should we allow an artificial intelligence to issue kill orders or not?
Yeah.
Determine this is an enemy, I will kill it, and boom. I was looking into a DARPA conference, and DARPA is the Defense Research Agency in the United States. So, I mean, yeah, they have pretty plenty of budget, since the US have more military spending than pretty much the rest of the world combined almost. So, I mean...
yeah, they have some funding for that project.
But the interesting part with that conference is that we were discussing just exactly this. The artificial intelligence in military applications. A lot of military people, a lot of soldiers, a lot of weapons manufacturers. They were all very, very unified, extremely unified, that the most important thing for artificial intelligence, for the next step, for it to become really useful in military applications, is to implement ethics and empathy.
In AIs, yeah, exactly.
So that's very, very interesting, because they were all very unified in that agreement that you need to have ethics and empathy in artificial intelligence, because they also all agree that you need to be able to allow certain decisions to go to a computer, because computers can make a lot faster split decision calculations that a human can't. And in a defense matter, you were talking these split decision seconds are crazy important in military applications. So in certain areas, you will need to have an allow for a computer to make life on that situation decisions. In a sense, we do it already today in different applications where we rely on a computer to do calculations that we respond to immediately. So that's just the baseline of the fact of the world we live in today. But that said, of course, if you are going to allow an artificial intelligence to make life and death decisions, it's genuinely a good thing if they have some kind of ethics and empathy.
Yes.
So I totally agree with that. And I like that they will pour in a lot of research funding into this as well now. So, yeah, that's great.
So we're not just focusing on that they're making ethical killing machines. That's not the positive news here. What we're talking about, the positive things, is that we're starting to see a trend where AI is being used for a positive impact. Not just because sort of when AI was a thing when it started, quite honestly, it was nerds creating bots for things that they just thought was fun. Like, let's make an AI bot which will decide which is the most tasty coffee, apparently. And that's that's completely useless for our society. But what we do see, and this is one case of it, is where AIs are starting to be used for positive impact on people that need it. For instance, within healthcare, within elderly care, within prosthetics for kids, all of these areas where there can be improvements for people in their everyday life, AI is starting to become a thing. And there's a lot of positive things going on where you start to utilize AI and AI bots for a positive behavior and impact on people that really, really needs it in their life. This is what we like. And that trend is truly a trend right now.
Just look at handicapped people, for instance.
Yes.
Blind people. We are soon there where blind people can be taught to see again with the interfaced AI-driven observation part, where your brain learn how to compensate based on input from an external source, pretty much, that you implement. Prosthesis parts. If you are an amputee, for instance, lose the leg or a hand, AI can be implemented the crazy amount of difference between having a prosthetic hand made in the 80s compared to having a prosthetic hand made today that are intelligent.
For sure.
That can respond to a lot. You can do a lot more with this. So this is something that can actually genuinely benefit a lot of humans. And what I'm trying to say as well is if we can get empathy into an artificial intelligence, I mean, I try to compare this to a game. Let's say this is a normal game. You have a normal role-playing game. You play along, you finish a quest. And then you have this fatherly figure who sends you on the quest. This is just the in-game character, no genuine intelligence, just responding to what you do in the game. But when this father figure comes and says, "You have done well, I'm very proud of you." Research has shown that you get a genuine serotonin kick out of that. People get that. Everyone knows it is just a game and it's just a fictional character, but you get a genuine kick out of some artificial character coming and say, "I'm really proud of you. You have done well."
I really, really wish everyone had a dad that said them to that. So we don't need that AI. But guess what? Unfortunately, the world is not like that. So we need that AI.
But genuinely, if we can get a genuinely more empathic AI, it can help.
Yes,
it can genuinely help because they can always be available 24/7. They can always be on. They can always be there, and they can always be something for the positive. So it can balance. And that one, I mean, is something that and then people say, but an AI can't replace human contact. No, that's not the point. If an AI can help depressed people become more happy, then they have a bigger opportunity of getting human contact, because the biggest blocker for human contact is that if you're a really, really depressed person, or if you're a really, really positive person, guess what? It's a huge difference who people want to hang out with.
Yes.
Try hanging out with a really genuinely depressed person. It's not very fun.
No.
Hang out with a genuinely really positive person. That's fun.
A lot more fun.
So if you want to have the opportunity of having a meaningful human relation, you need every help you can get to get happy. That's the whole idea, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I think it can be a genuine benefit.
Yeah. So we're not saying that kids should replace their dads with an Xbox. We're just saying that if you are in need, if you are a lonely person that need reinforcement in one way or another, this could be an option to give you that, and maybe boost your self-confidence and your serotonin levels, hence you feel pride. And if you feel pride, there's a bigger chance that you are happy and positive. And guess what? That's going to increase your chance to get a human interaction that is relevant to you. That's what we're saying. But I can absolutely see how someone would like to replace their mom or dad with an Xbox right now.
Exactly.
So here's my mom, and this is my Xbox.
Yeah, exactly.
These are the people that giving me positive reinforcement in my life. So help out with that. No, but to your point, AIs are being used in a positive manner way better now these days, and the research money is going into these types of investments in order to actually help out and make the life better for the people that actually needs it. So we like that. So that's a positive thing. Okay, then. What's next on the agenda?
Yeah, so another positive thing I see, that's a bit of an homage to our late Hans Rosling.
Yes.
Who wrote a great book, Factfulness. And he was really good at promoting this, that the world is on a global level becoming a lot more better. The world is increasing. But to connect back to our line of business, digitalization, or the spreading of internet, has scientifically proven to be a huge differential for having equality.
Yes.
And what do I mean with equality compared to digitalization? People tend, in the rich world today, we tend to say, when you talk about equality, people tend to think about men and women.
Yeah.
But that's just one base of equality. We have income equality as well. And if you think you have big gaps in income in the modern world between the richest and the poorest people in Sweden, for instance, that's big. But it's nowhere near as big as the inequality on a global level between nations.
No.
If you look at, for instance, the rich part of Europe, we are very well away compared to a lot of other nations.
Yeah.
That's it.
Just to put that into perspective, just so people understand, we always talk about the 1%. I hear that all the time. The 1%, the elites. Okay, if we look at the world, if you make more than $30,000 a year, you are part of the 1% globally. You are part of the elite globally. Might not be true in your little society where you live or in your country. But globally, if you make more than $30,000 a year annually, you are part of the 1%. Here's where the unbelievable inequality of income is coming into play.
And how can we rectify this? Why is digitalization important with this? Because today we are in the pure and strictest competence world. We are. Everything for you to build a better future for you comes back to your own brain, your own competence, your mind. We are we are past anything else today. We are just a competence-driven society today, information-driven, competence-driven. So education, training is the most important part. And internet has to have the single most beneficial impact on literacy across the global world. And being able to read and write is essential for you to change your life, to go out of poverty. That's just a pure strict necessity. You can't otherwise. So, and this is, I see a crazy positive trend with digitalization. So digitalization is the one genuine thing that can reduce this inequality across the globe. All of a sudden you can spread information, you can read news, and people complain, but people are getting more stupid because they are just looking into their Facebook group. Now, but they have the option now of looking at both their Facebook group and traditional media outlets. It's not like the big newspapers have gone away. They're still there. The huge power, but they're just not as powerful anymore. We have balanced this a bit. Yes, we need to learn how to handle the new information society a bit more by having some source critic. So being a bit evaluating the sources and having some sense about the rationality behind them. That's one thing, but I mean, that's also a big, good trend that we see going ahead. But still, you have today direct access to the combined knowledge of the entire world, pretty much, through internet. That means you can get educated no matter where you live in the world, and that's pretty amazing thing today. That was a blocker 30 years ago. It was pretty much impossible. So this is a great opportunity for people just to shift and balance this inequality on a global level in a tremendous way. So digitalization is a must. It's an essential thing for future forward.
Exactly. And just to put that in perspective as well, I just looked at the statistics from 2021. And according to the statistics, again, this is not an exact number, but roughly 770 million people in the world are illiterate, meaning they can't read or write. And when I say you can't read or write, they can't even write their own name. That's on that level. 770 million people in the world. That's quite a large percentage of the world that is still illiterate. And if this can help, and to Hans Rosling's point, in order to get the world to be both a better place initially, and also coming into when we talk about income, when we're talking about the changes of the environmental impact and so on, which we will discuss in a minute. What needs to happen is that the poorest countries need to get richer. The incomes need to be able to boost their own income, and the way to do that is to have the fighting chance to read and write. That's where you start. Now, it doesn't going to fix everything, but that's where you start. If you can't do that, you're essentially a lost case. You're not going to be able to do much to improve your situation. So if digitalization can help with that, that's an awesome positive thing. And that, as I said, moves us into the third thing which we're going to talk about, which is the climate impact.
Because, as I said, I firmly believe digitalization is something that's a must. That's genuinely important. It's a must. But that said, digitalization will also be the by far biggest climate threat that we have today. If you look at what consumes electricity today, we are first and foremost looking at climate, heating and cooling. That's the biggest today still. But something that's creeping up for far more and more, that's our digital life. Digitalization today is second in power consumption and power eating. Yeah, just behind or climate, to living climate, so to speak. So that's crazy what the impact digitalization can have. And we haven't not really observed this. We have not made this connection from our apps we look at on our phone to the climate impact it will have. That said, manufacturers today have started to observe this trend a lot, so we're moving in the right direction in this. Just compare a technical stack for running an application built in the 2000s.
Yep.
And look at a modern thing that do exactly the same functionality, but built with modern technology, a modern technological stack instead. Mm-hmm. We're not even talking about 10 times more climate impact on the old one. We're talking about more than 100 times impact on the old one, even up to almost 1,000 times more impact on the old one. So it's crazy amount of difference between something made in the 2000s between 2020. And that's not so strange if you just look at cars. The climate impact from a car engine from the 2000s is very different from a car engine built today.
Yep.
And it's just not to mention a car engine built in the 80s compared to the...
For sure.
So we have a crazy difference. But yeah, how do we know this with the technical stacks from the 2000s? We have them still running, so...
Yes, they still exist. We know exactly where they are.
Yeah.
Most of them still exist. The data center still exists. The server still exists.
So we can still measure. So we know.
Yes. We know for sure that they are alive.
And that's a crazy difference. So yes. But we see this trend actually evolving now, that people are starting to observe this a lot more. We change this. Server manufacturers are becoming far more smarter in how they build servers today, with this kept in mind. So we have this data center designs are becoming far more energy efficient. We use our residual heating from data centers a lot smarter as well.
Yeah.
So you see the trend of building data centers very, very close to the heating plants and
in your societies,
from the other societies. So you see synergies being developed a lot in the industry as well. So so that's a positive trend I would say, because you see a lot of awareness with this right now. So we are moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I agree. So there's a couple of positive things going on in our society today, and I would like to send you on your summer vacation with this little thought in mind. There is a lot of negatives currently. There's a lot of things that are going poorly right now. If it's not economies, it's just the world in general, wars, what have you. And I agree. That's the case. But if we're going to change this, it's going to have to start with us. So I'm going to send a little request from us to you, to all of you listening to this podcast. And there are quite a lot of you that do, and we appreciate every one of you. Do something nice for someone today. It doesn't have to be a massively big thing. Just do something nice for someone today. Because if I do something nice for Kim today, chances are that he's going to get happy and feel positive about it. And he will most probably be in a state of mind where he feels that he can do something positive for someone else in his close quarters and his family maybe, or the people that he interacts with today. And as you can see, that then can start a trend where, well, if someone did something nice for me, maybe I should do something nice for someone else. This is how it starts, my friends. If we want to make a change in our society, it needs to start with us. Don't look at the politicians. Start with yourself. What can you do for your family, your closest society today? Even if it's such a simple thing as tonight you will go and coach your daughter's or son's football team. You did an effort tonight by doing that. You helped them out. You did a good thing for them. This is how you start to spread a positive message within your own society. So start with yourself. and see the positive things you do in your life as well. Very important. As Kim mentioned before, the serotonin levels needs to go up every now and then to feel pride. And that's a way to do it. So go do something nice with someone today and have an awesome summer. And we will be back in the fall with new energy and new episodes of the Information Security Stack. Have a great summer.
Hubba.